700 U.S. Marines are heading to LA amid rising tensions with China. But why are they going there? And what is it they're trying to show the Chinese? Well, in this video, we're gonna take a look at why 700 Marines have been deployed to LA and what message they are sending to China. It is no secret that things between the US and China have gotten pretty heated over the last year. From China's military drills near Taiwan to the ongoing trade war, things are not looking good right now. As such, many are wondering if conflict is imminent between the two superpowers. Well, some believe that the deployment of 700 Marines to LA is a sign that things are starting to get real. It is no secret that both the US and China have been taking steps to show the other side who is boss. Just last month, China sent an aircraft carrier to the South China Sea in a show of force. And now the US is sending Marines to LA? But don't worry, because in this video, we're going to dive into the details of the story and find out exactly what is going on. We will also discuss what this means for the future of US-China relations. So make sure to stay tuned. But before we get started, let's first take a closer look at the situation in LA. Over the past few weeks, tensions have been rising in LA as protests have broken out over the city's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. In response, the National Guard has been called in to help maintain order. And now the Marines are being deployed as well. Of course, this has led to speculation that the Marines are being sent to LA to protect the city from an imminent attack. However, this is almost certainly not the case. The Marines are likely being deployed to LA simply to help maintain order during these protests. After all, they are trained to deal with civil unrest and they have the necessary equipment to do so. In fact, the Marine Corps has already released a statement saying that the deployment is not in response to any specific threat. Instead, it is part of a regularly scheduled rotation. Of course, that doesn't mean that the Marine Corps isn't taking the recent events in LA seriously. After all, they are still deploying a significant number of troops to the city. In fact, the 700 Marines that are being deployed to LA is equivalent to about 25% of the total combat strength of the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit. That's a pretty significant commitment of resources. As such, it is clear that the Marine Corps is taking these protests seriously, and they are prepared to use force if necessary to maintain order. So while the deployment of Marines to LA may seem alarming, it's likely not a cause for concern. The Marines are simply there to help local authorities maintain order during these difficult times. However, even though the Marines are being sent to LA to help with civil unrest, some believe that this is a sign of things to come. After all, the US and China have been taking steps to show the other side who's boss. Just last month, China sent an aircraft carrier to the South China Sea in a show of force. And now the US is sending Marines to LA? Some believe that this is a bad omen and that it could be a sign of things to come. After all, the two countries have been on a collision course for years now. The US has imposed sanctions on China and China has retaliated. The US has accused China of intellectual property theft and unfair trade practices, and China has accused the US of being a declining power that is in decline. As such, some believe that the two countries are on a collision course and that conflict is inevitable. However, others believe that the two countries can still avoid conflict and that things aren't as bad as they seem. They argue that the two countries have too much to lose by going to war, and that they will eventually find a way to coexist peacefully. Only time will tell what the future holds for US-China relations. But for now, we can say that the deployment of 700 Marines to LA is a sign that things are starting to heat up. As we mentioned earlier, the deployment of 700 Marines to LA is not in response to any specific threat. Instead, it is part of a regularly scheduled rotation. However, the timing of the deployment is no coincidence. Over the past few months, tensions between the US and China have been rising. As such, the Marine Corps is likely wanting to send a message to China with this deployment. By deploying 700 Marines to LA, the US is sending a message that they are still a formidable force to be reckoned with. After all, the US is the most powerful military in the world and they are not afraid to show it. The deployment of 700 Marines to LA is a show of force. It is a way of letting China know that the US is still a formidable force to be reckoned with. This is especially important right now as tensions between the two countries are at a boiling point. China has been taking a more aggressive stance in the South China Sea, and they have also imposed sanctions on the US. As such, the US needs to send a message to China that they will not be intimidated. The deployment of 700 Marines to LA is just the latest example of the US doing just that. In recent months, the US has taken several steps to show China that they will not be intimidated. For example, the US has conducted freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea. They have also increased their military presence in the region. In addition, the US has imposed sanctions on China in response to their human rights abuses. These sanctions have hit China where it hurts the most, their economy. As such, it's clear that the US is not afraid to take action against China. Despite all of this, some people are still worried that the US may not be able to stand up to China. After all, China is a nuclear-armed nation, and they have a large military. Many people believe that the US would not be able to win a war against China. However, this is not necessarily true. The US has a highly advanced military, and they are extremely well-trained. In addition, the US has a strong network of allies in the region who would come to their aid if needed. As such, it's not accurate to say that the US would definitely lose a war against China. What's more, the US has made it clear that they do not want to go to war with China. They are only taking these actions to show China that they will not be intimidated. As we can see, the deployment of 700 Marines to LA is a show of force by the US. It is a way of sending a message to China that they will not be intimidated. While some people are worried that this is a sign that things are getting out of control, this is likely not the case. The US and China know how important it is to avoid conflict, and they will likely continue to take steps to prevent things from escalating. The deployment of 700 Marines to LA is concerning, but it's likely not a cause for alarm. The Marines are there to help a civil unrest, and they are not there because of any specific threat from China. While the deployment is a show of force, it is not a sign that things are getting out of hand. The US and China know how to avoid conflict, and they will likely continue to take steps to prevent things from escalating. Let us know what you think of the deployment of 700 Marines to LA. Do you think it as a sign of things to come, or do you think it as just a show of force? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.